So we have put the responsibility of determining the sort order in our movies table. And with this, if we reuse this table in multiple places, we don't have to duplicate this logic. So that's definitely a good improvement. But what if you're going to have a table of customers? With our current implementation, again, we have to duplicate this logic in a component like customers table. So we need to take this to the next level. We need to extract a new component like table header that encapsulates this logic, and then we can reuse that table header whenever we have a table. We could have a table of movies, customers, rentals, and so on. So here in the common folder, let's add a new file, table header.jsx. We import React on the top, so imrc, and then create a class component, table header. Now, we don't need the state, so delete it. Back to our movies table. We need to move this method, raise_sort, into our new component. So let's put it here. Good. Now, in the render method, we should render something like this. So a t-head, a tr, and a bunch of th elements. Now, in order to render this markup, this table header needs to know about the columns. So let's see what the interface of this table header is going to look like. You should get columns, which is an array. Also, as you can see here, we have two references to this.props. So we should also pass the sort column, which is an object, and unsort, which is a function. So sort column, that's an object, and unsort, which is a function. This is the interface of our new table header component. Now let's focus on the render method. So here we want to return a t-head. Inside this t-head, we're going to have a tr and a bunch of th elements. Now we want to render these th elements dynamically. So let's add an expression here. Get this .props.columns.map, get each column and map it to a th element. Now here we need to render the name of the column. So each column should have a property like label. Now back to our movies table. Look at our th elements. Here we should also handle the onClick event. So I'm going to copy this expression from here and paste it right here. Let me save the changes so the code is reformatted. Let's see what's going on here. So we have t-head, tr, a bunch of th elements. Each th has an onClick. Here we simply call this.raise_sort, which is one of the internal methods in this class. Now, instead of passing the title, we should pass the path to the target property. So our column objects should also have a path property. Okay? So this is our table header. Now, let's use this in our movies table component. So first on the top, we need to import this. Import table header from common/table header. Next, inside this class, let's create a new property, columns. Note that I'm initializing columns here. It doesn't have to be part of the state because it's not going to change throughout the life cycle of this component. So a simple property is sufficient. Now each column should have two properties. One is path, like title, and the other is label, like title with the capital T. Now let's duplicate this a few times. Let's modify the second column. So the path is genre.name and the label is genre. The third one, the path is number in stock and the label is stock. Next, the path is daily rental rate and the label is rate. Now we need two more columns for our like and delete buttons, but these columns don't have a label, so we are not going to pass this property here. They also don't need the path property because we are not going to sort our movies based on these columns. So for now, we just pass an empty object, so they will be rendered. So we have our columns. Now, let's replace this t-head with our new table header component. So table header, we pass our columns. We set it to this.columns. Now, what else do we need to pass here? Let's go back to our table header and see the interface of this component. So we pass the columns. We should also pass sort column and unsort. We already have both of these in our movies table because they're coming from the parent, which is the movies component. So we pass sort column. We should pick this from props, sort column, and we pass that here. And finally, unsort. Again, this already exists in the props object. I would like to put all the events next to each other. So undelete, unlike, unsort, that's cleaner. And we pass that here. Unsort. So here's the result. We pass the columns, sort column, and unsort. Now back in the browser, we have a warning. Each child in an array or iterator should have a unique key. This is coming from our table header, line 24. So here in our table header, line 24, this is where we are using the map method to render th elements. We forgot to set the key attribute, so we set the key to column.path because this uniquely identifies each column. However, back in the movies table component, you can see the last two columns don't have the path property. So we need to give them a new property that can be used as a unique key. So I'm going to call that property key. We can set it to something like and delete. Save the changes. Now back in table header, we need to modify this. So here we can use the logical OR operator and use column.key. So if we have column.path, we're going to use that. Otherwise, we're going to use column.key. Let's test the application. You can see the warning is gone. Our table header is rendered properly. Let's see if sorting works. Beautiful.